Hello and welcome to another episode of Intune.training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam show with Steve and Adam.
Yay, the OG crew.
What's up, buddy?
Not much, bud. What's going on?
Just hanging out, wondering why your video just froze up. Oh, there it is. All right. Whew. All that and then still.
Yeah.
Hey, I hear you got some fiber internet over there or something, huh?
I do have fiber fast internet.
Yeah.
Gigabit speed and all of that fanciness.
Well, based on the way it's coming in over here, I think it was using cloth fibers or something.
I could see that.
Jeez.
But that's okay. We'll soldier on and we'll figure it out.
One day we'll realize how blessed we are that, you know, we can, you're literally on the opposite side of the world and your picture's just right here. It's nice.
Yeah, and it's not costing us other than bandwidth. Pretty
much. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
what are we here to talk about, Adam?
I don't know. So the last couple of weeks we've so welcome to season 5, by the way. It snuck up on us. So if you watched our last 2 videos, we did some Defender for iOS and Android, and so we've got some more stuff like that coming. And I don't know what Z something. Steve sent me a cryptic message and said we're going to do ZTA. Is that GTA? Grand Theft Audio? ZTNA. I have no idea. All right,
so
Steve,
it's,
what are we doing?
Zero Trust Network Access.
Ooh, that sounds really boring. I mean, awesome. Let's do it.
I think you'll be excited by the end of it, and you'll be looking to do some sort of an implementation in your environment, at least in testing by the end of it. So
every time, and it rarely happens, but all right, I'm in.
True.
Let's go. Let's DTNA it.
Yep. So what we're going to talk about is a preview product that's sitting in Azure Active Directory today, under the title or branding of Global Secure Access. So what we'll do is we'll get Adam to quickly share his screen. As we can see here, how magic is IT. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to a new website called Entra.microsoft.
Okay.
So this is the new AAD portal. For those who haven't been playing along at home and haven't seen the news, Entra equals AAD. On the left-hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's actually a new little tab there called Global Secure Access Preview, and we're going to hit Get Started.
I'm still just, staring at Entra ID, just like wondering how we got here.
Who's to say? So given that it's a preview, you need to activate this in your tenant. What is required for the preview today is Entra. Hang on, what is it? It's Entra Premium P1 licensing, according to the docs. And you also, for testing and evaluation of the scenario that we have in this that's available today, you should also have at least Office 365 or M365 apps. Hey, look, we got licensing in there. Yay. Yeah. Sorry, Adam. I know you were falling asleep. So we're going to
let them earn their paycheck. Why did we do their job for them just now? They could have.
Yeah, true.
Whatever.
Yep. So I'll get you to smash the activate button there for me, Adam. And what this is going to do is it's going to
Hey, Phil, if you're watching, this is a shout out to you, man. Unsung hero.
Exactly. And look, it was that quick, right? Now we're going to hit Get Started.
I mean, did they even have to put the buttons there? They could have just been like...
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of conversation.
Okay. It's like I had to execute it to do a thing. Okay.
Yep. So there's a couple of options here that you see today, which is Entra Internet Access and Entra Private Access. The one that we're going to really focus on is going to be...
No.
Go, Adam. Why
this is it. This is right where the wheels fall off right here. So we have Internet Access, and then everyone knows that this should be, I think, this should be intranet access because that's what private network. My God.
Oh, good work, Adam. I'll give you an A+ mark for that.
really missed an opportunity here. We're going to do the intranet access.
We did. But obviously you can read what's in the text on the screen. But what we're looking at with the internet access is the ability to put some controls around your M365 apps. Okay, what does that actually mean? Well, I'm going to actually do a really cool shout out here. If you hit the Get Started button, Adam, for
which one? Internet, for the intranet?
Internet. The docs are actually really verbose and really well written. Straightforward to follow, and you can just get it all up and running. We've already done part of this in our environment, which is we've deployed the Entra agent because it's still required for the work that we are doing. Should be all good. And the reason why we did that pre-work is because we didn't need to go through. It's not germane to the conversation. So if we go back to the portal, we're then going to quickly step through here and we're going to look at global settings. This one here is going to be interesting for you. We're going to look at the session management. And there's a nice, simple, easy toggle there. Do you want to have a guess what that does, Adam?
I think it does tagging enforcement restrictions.
Yep. Which means what?
It means that all of your stuff that comes through has to be tagged or else it won't work. I don't have any idea.
Right. So for the crux of what this actually does is if you have this enabled and you have the global access control agent on your client computers, they can't access other tenants. So we'll show you in the demo.
Well, hold on. Okay, so how about this? What does global secure access do, and what does the agent do? Because I think I'm already lost. So we're okay.
I like going around about.
I don't know why I'm clicking the button yet because I don't even know what the thing does. So that's why I'm.
So all right, let's take a step back and let's go to the connect section. So connect, and to be clear, Adam doesn't know anything about this because I was very intentional not to tell him. So we're going to go to traffic,
and nor whoever's watching, apparently. Okay.
Go to traffic forwarders for us, or traffic forwarding, I should say. And what you'll see here is there's two profiles, one for Microsoft 365 profiles and one for private access profiles. So this is much the same as what you would see if you were to use other ZTNA clients. So a good example is Zscaler or any SASE client where you have the ability to basically say, well, I'm going to do my content filtering on the client side. Another product out there is Versa. So what we can do here is we're going to select the checkbox for Microsoft 365 profile on the left-hand side, and we're going to hit yes, definitely want to do that. And then what you'll see there is under the Microsoft 365 traffic policies, there's 3 profiles there. Right now, we only have Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and the Microsoft Common endpoints. So these are all the endpoints from Office. So the ones that you'd see that you have to go and allow on your portal. This is where it gives you the ability to do the traffic checking and inspection of what traffic is being used on your client computer. So we're going to be forwarding this traffic from your session into the secure client. So you also have the ability to bypass and go, well, I don't want to inspect this traffic. So this is where it gives you that whole conversation of, hey, we can bypass, we can forward. So when it goes to the full version, so you'll see along the top, it says, hey, this is just a subset. This is Office 365. This is to prove the scenario. The expectation is that it will have future functionality to do more custom and bespoke configurations. But what this is all about is this is the first step that Microsoft's going down for ZT, like a zero trust networking client, where it does client inspection and content inspection on the edge. And
so this would essentially allow my office workers to sit at a desk in an office or wherever and have the same experience because they would be
Yep.
on an internet only business network. There
Correct.
would be no business network really, that a client facing business network at that point.
Correct.
For roughly speaking, obviously.
Yeah, it's where you're sitting there and going, well, I don't need to have CorpNet because this is how I'm going to route. And that's what that private access profile is all about. This is where you have the ability to do VPN tunneling.
So, yeah. So, and that would be for things that I just, for whatever reason, I can't expose those to the internet. And so therefore we need to still be able to get to them. So I would assume that would this take the place of something like Azure App Proxy? I mean, I guess Azure App Proxy would be something you could expose through the public side, the internet side. So then this would be things that maybe you would want to expose to internet-based clients, but in a more secure way, it seems like.
Sort of. The answer is yes. So if you hit on the connectors option on the left-hand side, if we had a connector set up in our environment for Azure Active Directory, actually it's not, it's Entra App Proxy, it would appear here. So the same connector is used for both.
Okay. Yep.
So then you can just put the controls around that. We're not going to go through that scenario today, but this is where you have that ability to publish apps as App Proxy, and it will go and handle that.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's similar to what you see with Zscaler, Netscope, any of those other products where you have the ability to do content checking on the client side while then routing it to a central location. Cool, right?
If you say so. I've got nothing yet.
Well, that's because we haven't actually toggled everything.
All right.
So we're then going to go to that session management, and we're going to turn on the tenant restrictions. We're going to save that because you have to. And then we're going to also set the adaptive access.
What does that do?
It gives you a whole heap of stuff with conditional access. So it allows you to sit there and we will demo this where you can sit there and say, to access my office tenant, I need to be connected from a global secure access endpoint.
Okay.
So this is where you can start putting controls in beyond, I just need to be compliant or not. I need to have a global secure access policy associated with my tenant. Cool, right?
Maybe. You're gonna have to win. You're gonna have to win me over on this one. I don't know, man. I gotta see
Adam's being very, very rough on us today. So I'm just checking on my client computer here to see if it's pulled down all of my configuration because that's it enabled.
Well, we didn't target anything though.
It's targeted to all devices for the forwarding profile, but so long as the agent's installed. And I have an agent installed on
where it says assignments.
Yeah, so
we don't have
that today is all client devices. The add assigned remote network is only there for future work. That's in a private preview that has the ability for you to connect your edge appliances.
Okay. So I saw that as okay. I missed. Okay. Yeah. It seemed like there was more to. We had to actually target it to things at that point. Okay.
No.
So what you're saying is at this point, there's an app that you've installed on a VM.
Yep.
And it's talking to this right now, and we've just turned it on, and it should be lighting up some things.
Correct.
Okay.
So what I'll quickly do is I will show you my screen. So this is the client that we've installed that Adam's showing you on the screen, where you have the ability to download it, that executable, and we've just deployed that as a Win32 application. Very, very simple, straightforward. All right, so I'm just going to add to stream my computer. So what you're going to see here in the tray, I have this globe with the tick on it. So that's telling me it's all set up and all working.
Okay,
if I go here,
just for, we put one in the oven before we started. So you just literally just installed the client, right?
Yep.
There was nothing, you didn't do anything else to it, right?
The only thing that I've had to do is just sign into the client when it popped up. That was it.
Okay,
and
so
that
much
was just
like signing into a VPN client.
Yeah, but it's all seamless single sign-on. So you just click the button, go, yeah, I am who I say I am, and dependent upon your conditional access policies, you'll be prompted to do additional stuff. So one of the cool things is I can go here and I can go, all right, tell me about my client. Am I healthy? And it'll give me all of the information. This one here is no, because, well, it was only installed like 2 hours ago. But everything else will sit there and go, yep, everything's good. We're all happy. So it's a really simple, straightforward check to make sure that we're happy. It can be AAD joined or hybrid AAD joined. Just want to call that one out.
But only hybrid if you're doing it for legacy reasons.
Yes. It's not workplace or not domain joined. It has to have an AAD record for this to work. The other one we have here is the connection diagnostics, where we have the ability to see what's actually going on with the device. I'm going to get to everywhere all the way through this because I think it's just cool. And this will step through and you can see the policy and profile associated with everything associated. And you can see that we're doing tunneling, we're doing management, and we're doing policy retriever, and we're only doing it for the M365. If we had it enabled for private access, you would see private access there as well, and any subsequent profiles that you create. So it's all happy days. We're all green all the way across the board now because it's just had to think. When we go...
The UX is phenomenal.
Simple. That's the goal. Simple. I'm going to quickly sign into my Edge because, as you can see, I've not used this before. And we're going to go portal.office.com. We just want to show that it's working. And hopefully I haven't broken any of our conditional access rules beforehand. It has been known to happen. So you can see that we've got our M365 working. Fantastic. But now, based on the whole, hey, we're going to block other tenants, let's go and try it with another tenant. If we go portal.office.com, and it's going to try and sign in, but it can't. I'm going to now use my test account over here at usedhousesalesman.com.au. And I'm going to put in my super secret password. And you'll see it's been blocked. But you'll note that it's not the used house salesman tenant that's blocking it. It's Intune training that's blocking it. Got to say that's pretty cool.
So we actually had this conversation today on Discord and yesterday in the office, earlier. The conversation around being able to sign into other tenants from your business device and the implications of that, because the conversation centered around there are legitimate business cases for needing access to other tenants. Like one of the examples was, hey, our customers are working with education agencies and stuff, and they need to be able to sign into the EDU tenants to work with those folks. Or, like I've got lab tenants that I sign into. This is your demo tenant. And now you've locked yourself out from it. So I know that's immediately seeing this is like, oh, what? Okay, how do we make sure we don't impact that kind of stuff when we do this?
So I'm going to challenge that thinking, because I do agree with the statement, but the challenge that I'm going to put to you and put to the listeners is how many people outside of IT actually have that scenario. And in that scenario, where you need to be looking in another tenant, ideally that's where you should be being invited in as a guest. So you still
you're
use
signing
your
in with your
Intune
company
training account
credential into their tenant. Okay.
Yep.
So this wouldn't block that scenario?
I don't believe so. Well, it shouldn't, because it's still using your credentials. It's saying you can access this. And that's where you have the trust at the top level. So if we go back to the portal, so it's just on your screen there, Adam. Mm-hmm. What you'll see here is if you, and I've got to remember where it is. Just bear with me. I need to, it's not there. What we're wanting to look at is if we go to session management again, and what you should see is in the blue text, in the blue box, the blue text, we're going to click on that being the tenant restrictions. This will go across to the external identity scenario. And this is where you start building those relationships between your tenant, and that should allow it.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is where it's changing the conversation from I need to have an account with my identity in their tenant to I'm going to use my tenant from my account from the source tenant in the destination tenant and access those resources.
So, I mean, this is not the whole purpose of this tool of global secure access. Is just one of those. It's just interesting that we're talking through this because this was this particular scenario. Because it just came up today. Interesting.
So, and that's it, right? This is becoming a topic that is becoming more and more prevalent with organizations. How do I stop my standard users or my users from not having access to other tenants and exfiltrating data out that way?
Well, so that was kind of the way the conversation, another portion of the conversation was around the idea that, so what if you wanted to hypothetically block exfiltration by personal email? What would you block? You're going to go block Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook.com, right? What about my personal tenant?
Yeah.
It still works because
and that's it. And that's how far down the rabbit hole you go. There's various different controls you can put in place with your endpoint DLP. I'm not going to go through all of those today, but there are controls you can put in place to handle that as well. And this is where it's that better together story. We're not going to be able to cover everything, but this will cover 80%.
Yeah.
Of corporate espionage, of copying data from one tenant to another tenant. This is going to get past that.
Cool. So what else can we do with this?
Cool. So the other one that we're going to look at, because we've enabled the adaptive access, is we're going to go across to the conditional access portal. So it's under protection, conditional access. Got to remember where everything is now. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's almost like it changes every couple of months. I don't know.
So we're going to select policies. And whatever you do, your tenant shouldn't look like this with all of your conditional access policies turned off. Please have conditional access enabled in your tenant. But
your tenant should probably look something like this, where you start here.
Yes.
But we're not doing that
today.
There's
a zero trust option there.
Oh,
let's have a quick look.
My goodness gracious. There we go.
And it doesn't look like the ZTNA stuff's made it in there, unless if you hit show more. Yeah, no, it's not made it in there yet. But this is where eventually it will appear there, I would assume. So if we go back to conditional access policies for me, Adam.
It'd be called if it was in here anyway.
It'll be global secure access. You need to
just make sure.
Right, so we're just going to create a new policy.
Man, I can't collapse this sidebar.
Yes, you can, down the bottom.
Oh, let's move it also. Okay.
So we're going to create.
Look, this is my first look, and this is honest first feedback.
I hear. I didn't
Look,
say anything.
The other arrows are at the top of the menus, and we're going to put these down at the bottom just to make it fun and difficult.
So we're going to click new policy. And we're going to do what I don't do normally, which is we're going to give it a name, because I won't put a name in there and then I'll completely forget. So let's give it a name of, yep, perfect. We're going cool. And then we're going to select users. We're going to select a user, and we'll just put it on my account.
That's right.
Third one from the top. Perfect. Thank you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go target resources, and we're going to actually, we need to select.
Global security.
And this is where you can do some cool stuff where you have to be a compliant device and to get access to that endpoint. But we're not going to do that one right now. I know you're very excited, but that's not the one we're going to demo.
All right.
What we're going to do is we're going to go Cloud Apps, and then we're going to select apps, because not everything's in there today. And we're going to select on the Select None option, and we're going to type in Office.
Yes.
And then what we're going to do is under Conditions, we're going to select Locations. Traditionally, locations have been, we're going to leave it as configured yes, any location. And then we're going to go Exclude. And we're going to select, and we're going to select the load more. That hasn't come through yet. So what we should see there, if you hit close on that select formula, and we go back to the include option, you'll see there all compliant network locations preview. What will eventually light up in this tenant is the ability what will eventually happen on that tenant,
this is out of memory. Awesome.
Is that will light up, and then we'll have the ability to exclude that. So we're going to block all traffic. We're going to block all traffic unless it's coming from that network for the Office tenant or the Office application. So what then means is we're forcing and routing all traffic via that connection, even if it's a compliant device or not. Cool.
Let's try again.
Just resetting it all up. We're going to select Office 365. And then we're going to select Conditions, Locations, yes, and it's still grayed out. So it's not going to be there.
So are you expecting this to light up shortly after you turn on Global Secure Access?
It should happen.
Okay.
In my experience, I didn't check for a couple of hours. So
okay, sorry, I was more wondering if this is coming as part of the preview later on. But no, you're saying I've already enabled
it. Will light up.
It should show up eventually. We just can't do it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've set this up in another tenant, and this is working for me.
Okay, and so at this point we would say any location, and then we'd go exclude that. We should see all compliant network locations as the exclude that we would add here. Yes.
What I will do is this. Present. Share screen. And that one. All right, let me know if it is big enough. So this is one that I've prepared earlier where we have two policies for global access secure and block unless CTNA. So we're going to select the scenario that is block unless global secure access. And what we're saying is it's targeting my single user. It needs to be target resources, this traffic, and we're going to grant access so long as it's on a compliant device. So if it's a non-compliant device, you don't get access, period. Simple one, but you can do a whole heap of cool complexities around your conditions on that. We're going to go across to the block unless via ZTNA option though. And this is the network one we just went through. Again, we're sitting here and we're saying that it's targeting one user. We have our Office 365 app there. We've put our condition that it is any location. So any location here, and you'll see, note that that's now not grayed out in this tenant. This is a production tenant as well, so you should have access to that in yours. And then I have the ability to go and select all compliant network locations. That gets added, and that's yours global secure access. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say block. So unless you're coming from that network for my office traffic, you are not going to get access to that data. Simple. What's your thought process on that one, Adam?
So how does that work for, let's say, my personal mobile phone and using the Office client on it?
Right now, that's a very good question. This all doesn't apply, and this is where in your conditional access policy, you would put an exclusion in there for
so it's like the OS
mobile phone
that we want to target.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now there is not, it's only Windows, as you can see here, currently only available for Windows. Client versions for Android, iOS, macOS are planned to be released in the next coming months. So it's a good question, and that's your answer is, look, yeah, right now it's Windows. Will that always be the case? Evidently not. Well, hopefully not. So, and what we can do here is I'm going to reshare my other screen. Just give me a second. Stop, present, share, window. All right, so cool. So we're back here. What we're going to look at is we're going to go here and we're going to pause. So right now I can go and pause it as a standard user and I don't have access to stuff, right? So it's paused. So this is me coming from an unsecure network. What should happen if that policy was there is it would be blocked. But if I go to portal.office.com, on my other tenant where I do have this enabled, let's go and do our in private view again. And we're going to use our used house salesman tenant again, .office.com. I will get there. And then we're going to put in a super secret password and hopefully we get it right. And you'll see here, I'm not being blocked because of the Intune training tenant anymore, because that's disabled. I'm being blocked because of the used house salesman tenant, because you can see the house behind it and we can go here and look and go, yep, this is why you don't have access. It's unregistered and it's from a network that's not trusted.
So then I know that we're kind of in a weird spot with the demo, because if you were, so you're on an Intune training device with a client, ZTNA or the secure global access client configured for our tenant. And so it's managing, governing our tenant and all of its restrictions and stuff specifically because it's our device that we want to trust.
Correct.
So when you disable it, if we had the conditional access policy enabled on our tenant that says only allow from a ZTNA enabled network, we would get the block that we just saw. Correct. Which is you can't get there because you authenticated successfully, but you don't meet the criteria, which is you're not on the valid network. Okay. And then if we re-enable it, we could get back in. But then if we try to go to another tenant with it enabled, or let me back up. Sorry. So I guess the other piece would be in this case, kind of looking at the data exfiltration side of things. If you were able to disable the client, I could log into my personal tenant that doesn't have any restrictions and get in and use my personal tenant if I needed to, but I can't then also use my company data tenant at the same time. So it's basically putting up a wall between them and saying you can use one or the other, but you can't use them both at the same time would be kind of a way to look at it.
Yeah. And look, right now you have the ability as the end user to pause that. You have the ability to restart and do all of those different things with the agent. But one would assume that it's going to end up being much the same as all of the other clients where you can stop that, or as an admin.
Sure. But at the same time, knowing I just kind of drawing that, it's clicking for me. So having the ability to disable the client as a possibility, or even having the ability to, PIM up per se to allow someone to disable it because no, seriously, I have a business case. I need to get to this thing. I understand we got to keep the wall up, but I need to go do this other thing. So I would say that initially I was thinking, this is kind of like the tunnel, the Microsoft tunnel. And it's not, this is moving the security controls down onto the client, or some of the security controls down to the client to give you more direct access on the client to be able to validate before we even step off the box. And I guess more so to give you markers that you can send in with the packet and with the traffic instead of having to evaluate it once you get to the endpoint. So now I'm blocking you before you get to the front door. Kind of deal. Yeah. Am I
pretty cool, right?
Am I getting it a little bit?
Yeah. Basically, what you're doing is you're moving your packet inspection to the device. And then why you're sitting there and saying, well, but I'm running a VDI farm. I don't want to run a client on every single one. Well, yeah, that's where you use the perimeter stuff that's still not available because it's in private preview. So if I go back and add this back in,
so what would the perimeter stuff be? That's an additional add-on to what this is ultimately going to become.
Yeah, we'll show you in a second.
So it's essentially an agentless version of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where we've gone in and we've got our conditional access failure, and you can see that it blocked failure, blocked. Okay, you're not getting access because you matched the location. You didn't match it, because what should happen is it should come up and say not matched.
Right.
And then you're allowed. What was the question? It was the perimeter stuff. So if we go here and we go to global secure access, if we go to devices, you have remote network. Right now, this is going to come up and say that it's in private preview and you can go through, but this is where you've got your customer premises equipment. So this is where you can go and put in theoretically, I've not looked completely into it, but my understanding is you'll have the ability to put the configuration onto your routers and say, hey, go and do the packet inspection here. And then you don't need to have the client on the computers because it's going to be a secure, trusted location. But you don't then put it on your perimeter and then put Wi-Fi in front of it because it sort of defeats the purpose.
So okay. So now I'm gonna play the not another agent card.
Yep.
Because
It's a fair question.
Because another agent. The whole beauty of putting it in the cloud is I don't have an agent. So what? So okay. In my mind, I would expect that at some point this becomes baked in to the OS. Probably. This is just Adam's guess. I would bake it in the OS because why not? Because I think it would end up as part of the Defender suite of just part of the Defender agent or something like that. This is Adam speculating, no idea. But if it could be, I think that would be a neat addition because then it becomes a more robust portion of the OS and not just an agent that I've got to screw around with trying to make sure that it's installed properly and getting the MSI and all the things and stuff. Because I could see a scenario where this would be weird. I guess you got to make sure you don't block yourself out of Intune.
Yes.
Because let's say I need to get the agent down and I build a conditional access policy that says you have to have the agent and it's the chicken and egg problem. I got to get the agent there, but I can't get to the network. I can't get to Intune, my secure resource, because I can't get. So I could definitely see that being
whatever you do in your testing, don't select all locations.
All users.
All users, all apps.
Yes. Make sure you stop and you put an override account in there that's not being impacted.
Otherwise, make sure your contact details at the top level of your subscription are correct.
I was one click away. When I first messed with conditional access, I was one click away from locking myself out. I happened to have a VM that was still logged in that I could get into because otherwise I had done the thing that they explicitly are like warning you about. Don't lock yourself out. Oh, dang it, I did it. So yeah.
So yeah. But I figure it's still in preview. There's still a lot of things that are going to improve on it, but I think it's one of those things that a lot of customers are actually asking for and are curious about how that works. So I figure this is something that was well worth having the conversation about.
Yeah, and I would absolutely expect that we're going to have more things that this is going to grow, and we will probably have a revisit of this at some point. We typically try to avoid preview items because they're preview and things are going to change. But I mean, I literally had no idea what this was going into it. Steve said, I got an idea for a video tonight. And I was like, cool, I don't have to come up with one. Let's go.
I would contest I would contest that we typically avoid preview because then we wouldn't be able to do anything in Intune.
What?
There's a lot of preview stuff in Intune that we do.
Okay. So, extended things that it's kind of like Gmail. You know how long Gmail is in beta? It's the same thing. Somebody just forgets to remove the tag. But, what I mean is within the first few weeks of the public preview coming out, we generally avoid things.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was very confused in the beginning. I think it clicked. Hopefully it did for everyone else. Hopefully it clicked way sooner and you're just like, Adam, you're just slow. But for context, not a world I live in. Don't mess with this stuff. I've heard the word Zscaler. Never touched it. Don't have a clue. Don't know what a ZTNA is. So yeah, this is all brand new. I think it's cool. There may be other folks that are like, yeah, this has been around for forever. Okay, cool. Thanks. But I think it would be interesting to see this get baked into the OS level, just to provide that robust level of, if it's really a critical agent to be there, then it needs to be there.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see where it lands.
Kind of like the Intune management extension. Just bake it in. then we'd have to get regular OS updates to keep it updated, probably.
Yes.
They couldn't just push it out randomly 5 times in a day. I have no idea. I'm just ranting now. Okay. Well, hey, let's wrap this one up, Steve. I think this was a good deal.
Sounds good to me.
I like it. I think I'm gonna have to go back and do some editing, though. Dang it. Please don't email us with the credentials you saw on the screen. Okay. All right. Anything else?
Thanks, everyone.
Good?
Nope.
All right.
Very good.
See you next time.
So, bye.